KSNR Coffin Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Coffin Radio. I am Heartthrob Rob, and today we are talking about the brand new WWE A&E biography on Shawn Michaels. Really good one here, man. The bio reads, after drug addiction nearly cost him his life, wrestler Shawn Michaels, aka the Heartbreak Kid, makes one of the most improbable late career comebacks in WWE history and is inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011. Dude, this one was a really good biography. Like, this is what I needed. It's like a mixture of wrestling and then obviously everything going on behind the scenes. Unfortunately, a lot of people that they've covered, you know, like Roddy Piper, Macho Man, these people have passed away, so they don't get to really talk about it from this long perspective. Shawn has been here since the 80s, and he has this perspective, you know, of now training these kids at NXT, and that's the vibe that this documentary really has, which has a really good vibe. I like the storytelling in here. So it shows Shawn's beginnings as, you know, smaller kid, but wanted to be a wrestler from the wrestling that he saw. He gets his training. He gets training in Texas, and then one day he's just, you know, teamed up with Marty Jannetty. So he's got this tag team with Marty Jannetty, and they're the Midnight Rockers, and they say how they get their name, which is very cool. And they're in the AWA, and that's where they get a lot. After Texas, they get moved to the AWA, and that's where they kind of really get seen and get heard. And they go to WWE, and after their first day, they get kicked out. It's game over. They get this crazy reputation because Shawn breaks a wine bottle over his head, and everyone thinks it's this, you know, tele-wrestler where it just everything, you know, gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time the story is told. So unfortunately, they're fired after one day. After, you know, 6 months, whatever, they finally are able to come back. And Shawn's just talking about his party days, man. Him and Marty were really partying, and Shawn is like being honest about it. Like, he's talking about how he was just on coked up all the time. He says yayo. He says all this crazy stuff. Like, and it's just funny to see him admit it. And, you know, the fact that he's able to come true. By the way, Shawn is like super honest in here. He comes across really good. He totally, like, when he's talking about the drug aspects or things later on that happen with Brett, he is super honest and super like, well, this was my life at the time. But you can tell he's not this person at all anymore. They get into, you know, the problems that him and Jannetty have, which lead to their breakup as a tag team, and just not so much even friends so much like that in real life anymore either. They go into this part, actually, I had, you know, I remember at the time when they said it, but when the Hart Foundation took on the Rockers in WWE, and they're supposed to have this great match, and then the ring breaks, you know, the ring rope breaks, and they say that, you know, this match no longer counts, and they had a shitty match anyways. They don't count it. I'm sure that really got to Shawn, you know, your first big break for that to happen. They go over the WrestleMania 10 match, you know, with him and Razor with the ladder match, which is very cool. They don't really get too much of Scott Hall in there, but Bruce Pritchard is in there, Marty Jannetty is in there, one of Shawn's friends, Undertaker, and then they get to the Bret Hart, you know, the Bret spots here, where it's time for, you know, Shawn to be the guy. Oh, Kevin Nash is in here. They go over, you know, it's time for Shawn to now be the champion. He'd be the guy. And they show the friction with him and Brett. They obviously talk about the Montreal Screwjob. But, you know, Vince, I don't think has ever talked about, you know, getting his ass beat by Brett. And he is very honest here. And he says, you know, and Brett kicked my ass, or, you know, Brett leveled me out or whatever. And, you know, Brett's in here. He's like, I just got one good one. So it's very cool for them to go over that. They go over him, you know, his back problems and his drug addictions, and he's really just pilled out this time. Just, you know, you're the greatest of all time, and, you know, you're able to feel that, but in your heart, you know, you don't know who you are as a person. You're really lashing out because of that. They show him, you know, losing the title to Austin. I thought they would really go into the story because Undertaker's there. I thought they would go into the story about him taping up his gloves to make sure that Shawn did the right thing. They show that, I forgot that Shawn after WrestleMania 12 like makes a thing about it. After WrestleMania 14, that he comes in the press conference the next day, shouts some shit and fucking leaves. They show like his drug addiction afterwards before he comes back to WWE. He luckily beats that because he doesn't want his son to see him like that anymore. And then we have, when Shawn comes back in 2002, they got his match with Flair. They talk about that for quite a while. And they talk about the last two matches with The Undertaker, and then his career is over. But a great little documentary here, man. I love the way they talk about the Flair match and the two Undertaker matches. Good stuff. They go over all aspects of his life, man. And I like that he's able to talk about the things that he's done. So I really like this one. I think this is one of the best ones. This one or Austin's. Austin has great replay value. But this one's really good too, man. But let me know what you guys think about it. We'll talk about it in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and if you like what you're watching, then hop in the coffin. Follow us on social media at Coffin Radio. Coffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.
ASMR Coffin Radio.